Hi, welcome my channel, Stoic Lab. The prison of explanation. There is a silent prison that traps millions of men. Its walls are invisible, its chains cannot be seen. Yet it steals confidence, peace, and personal power every single day. The prison is the need to explain yourself. Many men spend years trying to make everyone understand them. They explain their choices. They explain their mistakes. They explain their boundaries. They explain why they changed. They explain why they left. They explain why they stayed. And no matter how much they explain, it never feels enough. Because the truth is painful. Some people have already decided who you are. No explanation can change a mind that is committed to misunderstanding you. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. As emperor, he was criticized, judged, and questioned constantly. Yet he never built his life around defending himself. He focused on something far more important: his character. Stoicism teaches that your reputation lives in the minds of others, but your character lives inside you. One is outside your control. The other belongs entirely to you. The moment you stop chasing understanding from everyone around you, you begin to reclaim something priceless: your freedom, your peace, your inner authority. Because true strength is not found in convincing others. It is found in remaining loyal to yourself, even when others refuse to understand.
Lesson 1. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they owe everyone an explanation. They feel guilty for saying no, guilty for setting boundaries, guilty for protecting their time, guilty for choosing themselves. So they begin explaining again and again, hoping their reasons will finally be accepted. But wisdom teaches a different lesson. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Not everyone deserves access to your motives. Not everyone deserves access to your private struggles. A strong man understands that his inner world is sacred. It is not a public property open for inspection. It is a private kingdom, and not everyone receives an invitation. The Stoics believed that your mind is your most valuable possession. Allowing every person to demand explanations is like leaving the gates of your kingdom unguarded. Soon, everyone feels entitled to judge, entitled to criticize, entitled to control. But a man with sculpted grace understands the power of selective silence. He knows that maturity is not explaining every decision. Maturity is making peace with the fact that some people will never understand those decisions. And that is perfectly okay. Your life is yours to live, not theirs to approve.
Lesson 2. Over-explaining reveals inner doubt. Have you ever noticed what happens when someone is nervous? They keep talking. They keep adding details. They keep trying to prove themselves. The more uncertain they feel, the more they speak. This happens because over-explaining often comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of being misunderstood. Deep inside, many people believe that if they can just find the perfect words, everyone will finally accept them. But life does not work that way. The Stoics understood that confidence begins where approval ends. A man who trusts himself does not need lengthy speeches. His decisions speak for themselves. His actions speak for themselves. His character speaks for itself. When you constantly explain every choice, you unintentionally communicate something dangerous. You communicate doubt. You tell the world that your confidence depends on their agreement. But true confidence is different. It remains calm even when others disagree. It remains steady even when others criticize. It remains grounded even when nobody applauds.
The strongest man in the room is rarely the one speaking the most. It is usually the one who trusts himself enough to remain silent. Lesson 3. Silence creates authority. Silence makes many people uncomfortable. That is why they rush to fill every moment with words. But silence is not weakness. Silence is power under control. The ocean does not announce its depth. The mountain does not advertise its strength. The lion does not need to remind the forest that he is a lion. Their presence is enough. The Stoics understood this principle perfectly. When people attack your decisions, they often expect emotional reactions. They expect defenses. They expect arguments. They expect explanations. But silence changes the entire dynamic. Silence communicates confidence. Silence communicates control. Silence communicates that your emotional state does not depend on external approval. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean becoming arrogant. It means becoming centered. A man with sculpted grace does not react to every opinion. He does not chase every misunderstanding. He does not waste energy trying to win every argument. His silence is not weakness. It is discipline. And discipline creates authority. The kind of authority that cannot be faked. The kind that comes from self-mastery. Lesson 4. Your actions are your greatest defense. Words are easy. Anyone can make promises. Anyone can create excuses. Anyone can tell stories. But actions reveal truth. That is why the Stoics placed such importance on living according to virtue, rather than talking about it. When people criticize you, your first instinct may be to defend yourself, to explain, to argue, to prove them wrong. But ask yourself this: how many minds have truly been changed through endless arguments? Very few. Most people believe what they want to believe. The Stoic response is different. Instead of arguing, he improves. Instead of defending, he builds. Instead of explaining, he demonstrates. Because reality eventually speaks louder than opinions. Time exposes truth. Character exposes truth. Consistency exposes truth. If someone doubts your discipline, continue working. If someone doubts your integrity, continue living honestly. If someone misunderstands your intentions, continue acting with virtue. Sooner or later, actions will say what words never could. And even if they do not, you still win. Because your peace was never dependent on their approval. Your peace was built on something far stronger. The knowledge that you remain true to yourself. And for a Stoic man, there was no greater victory than that.
Lesson 5. Stop defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. One of the most painful truths a man must learn is this: some people do not want understanding. They want control. They ask questions not to learn, but to challenge. They listen not to understand, but to attack. They demand explanations, not because they are confused, but because they want to keep you trapped in a cycle of self-defense. For years, many men waste their energy trying to convince people who made their judgment long before the conversation even began. No explanation will satisfy a mind that has already decided who you are. The Stoics warned against this trap. Epictetus taught that if someone forms an opinion about you, that opinion belongs to them. It is not your responsibility to carry it. The moment you stop trying to correct every misunderstanding, you experience something rare: freedom.
freedom from endless arguments, freedom from emotional exhaustion, freedom from the invisible chains of other people's expectations. A man with sculpted grace understands that not every battle deserves his attention. Some doors must remain closed. Some conversations must remain unfinished. And some people must be allowed to misunderstand him forever. Because peace is often found where explanation ends.
Lesson 6. The more you explain, the more you invite judgment. Imagine standing before a crowd and explaining every decision you make. Why you chose this path, why you left that relationship, why you changed your goals, why you said no. Soon, everyone becomes a judge. Everyone becomes a critic. Everyone feels entitled to approve or reject your choices. This is the hidden danger of over-explaining. Every unnecessary justification is an invitation for someone else to sit in a seat they never earned. The Stoic does not seek permission to live according to his values. He understands that life is not a democracy. Your purpose is not determined by popular vote. The strongest men move with quiet certainty. They listen to advice. They consider wisdom. But they never surrender ownership of their decisions. When your choices are guided by principles instead of applause, your confidence becomes unshakable. You stop asking, "Do they approve?" and start asking, "Is this aligned with my character?" That single shift changes everything. Lesson 7. Silence protects your energy. Every explanation costs energy. Every argument consumes attention. Every attempt to prove yourself drains emotional resources that could be invested elsewhere. Most people never realize how much of their life is wasted trying to manage perceptions. They wake up worried about opinions. They spend their days defending decisions. They go to sleep replaying conversations. Meanwhile, their dreams remain untouched. Their goals remain unfinished. Their potential remains buried beneath endless distractions. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to guard his mind, not because the world was evil, but because attention is precious. Where attention goes, life follows. The Stoic man protects his energy like a king protects his kingdom. He does not hand it away to every critic. He does not spend hours explaining what could be understood through observation. His focus remains fixed on growth, on discipline, on purpose, on becoming stronger than he was yesterday. That is where his energy belongs. And that is why he continues moving forward while others remain trapped in endless debates. Lesson 8. True confidence needs no witnesses. Many people appear confident when others are watching, but remove the audience and their confidence disappears. Why? Because it was never confidence. It was performance. Stoicism teaches a deeper kind of strength. The strength of being at peace with yourself when nobody is clapping. The strength of making the right choice when nobody notices. The strength of standing alone when your principles demand it. A man who constantly explains himself is often seeking witnesses. He wants others to confirm that he is right. But true confidence comes from an internal source. It comes from knowing who you are, knowing what you value, knowing what you stand for, and refusing to abandon those values simply because they are unpopular. The oak tree does not explain why it grows. The mountain does not explain why it stands. The sun does not explain why it rises. Their existence is enough. Your character should become the same. So solid, so grounded, so undeniable that explanations become unnecessary. Lesson 9 and 10. Reclaim your power and walk away with dignity. The final lesson of Stoicism is simple.
Your power returns the moment you stop placing it in other people's hands. Every explanation given out of fear weakens you. Every explanation given out of insecurity shrinks you. Every explanation given out of desperation teaches others that your peace depends on their approval. But the Stoic chooses another path. He chooses dignity. He chooses self-respect. He chooses inner authority. Lesson 9 is this: accept that some people will never understand you, and that is perfectly fine. Not everyone is meant to walk beside you. Not everyone is meant to see your vision. Not everyone is capable of understanding your growth. Their inability to understand does not diminish your truth. And lesson 10 is this: walk away when necessary. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of wisdom. There is immense strength in knowing when a conversation no longer serves your peace. There is immense power in refusing to argue with those committed to conflict. There is immense freedom in choosing silence over endless justification. The Stoic man walks away carrying something far more valuable than victory. He carries his self-respect. And in the end, that is what matters most. Because a life spent explaining yourself is a life spent chasing approval. But a life built on virtue, discipline, and sculpted grace becomes its own explanation. So stop defending every choice. Stop proving your worth. Stop seeking permission to become who you were meant to be. Stand tall, remain calm, protect your peace, and remember, the strongest explanation you will ever give is the life you choose to live.